Hey, what's up, everybody? Welcome to this week's, the Week 7 edition of The Spread. The Spread, NESN.com's premier pigskin picking podcast. I'm Ricky Doyle. There's a lot of alliteration right there. He's Andre Cacciatore, and we're back this week. No Mike Cole this week, for 2 weeks in a row. We had our little bachelor party last week. Yeah. They did go through with the marriage. He is officially married. Didn't go off the rails or anything at the last minute. So he's off the market officially, but they're having a nice little honeymoon. He'll be back next week, but we'll try and hold down the fort this week.
Lake Placid, New York. Maybe.
Is that where he is? Lake Placid? I saw he had very picturesque snapshots out there on the interwebs.
We will have his picks for our 3 big games this week. I just want to let you all know he did not give a reason for the picks. He just gave his picks. He didn't give a lock and upset this week. And
Life's very easy for him right now
because he's on his honeymoon. He sent me a picture of himself on a balcony overlooking a scenic landscape of forest in Lake Placid, New York, while enjoying a libation of his choice. He is living the Vance Joseph lifestyle. He's having the time of his life.
Having the time of his life.
Yes.
And so are we. So we'll make some picks here. We'll do a few games. We'll give you a little lock and upset towards the end. We'll show and tell, and then we'll hit the bricks. So. You want to start us off with the standings from last week? I know you're very anxious to get to this.
Well, I absolutely want to get to this because I think for the first time this year,
maybe ever, dating back to last week.
I'll show you. I finished 7-5 last week. I led the pack, and both you and Mike finished 6-6. And because of that, me and you, Ricky, we are at a deadlock.
Look at this.
Last place or second place.
Photo finish.
The way you want to put it. And Mike Cole's lead has dwindled to just 2 games. Well, it still was at 2 games, and now I'm 2 games behind. And I'm feeling fired up about this week. I did some good research. I dug through some big numbers.
Good.
I got some yards per play stats that I'm going to share.
That's the
turnover differential number. It's going to be a fantastic episode of The Spread. I'm very confident.
Well, we'll buckle our seatbelt then. I got a little bit of a sour taste in my mouth from last week after that.
By the way. Sorry to interrupt. We had 2 games that we didn't have the spread for.
Yeah, that sucked.
We didn't pick them, and there was 4 teams that were bye, so we only had 12 games to pick from last week.
Yeah. Well, and the one game that aggravated me probably the most was the one I actually picked as the lock last week was that Broncos game. The Broncos just not showing up on Sunday night at home against the Giants, which leads us into our first game for this week. The Denver Broncos traveling to Los Angeles to face the Chargers, who actually favored in this game by 1.5 going into this. Chargers, a team we were both high on going into the year. Some struggles there, but turning around somewhat of late. Back-to-back wins going into this game. You want to kick things off here? The Chargers, are they back after going 0-4 to start the season?
They are, and they're back, and I think they will continue to be.
I shouldn't say back. Are they here? They never really were here.
All right, they're 2-4. They're favored in this game against the Denver Broncos. And people always overreact in the NFL and the football world. I mean, they overreacted last week when the Giants lost all their receivers, and the Broncos were 13-point favorites. This year people are overreacting. This week people are overreacting again on the Chargers. They've won 2 in a row. Broncos lost to a bad team. Let's look at the numbers. Broncos boast the 2nd best yards allowed per play mark in the NFL with great defense, and they've allowed the fewest rushing yards per play, and they haven't even allowed a single rushing touchdown this year. If they bottle up Melvin Gordon, which I think they will, this could be one of those games where Phillip Rivers throws the ball at least 40 times a game. And in his career, when Phillip Rivers throws the ball 40 times or more, his record is 12-34. This is what I mean. He's never had any help in his entire career. He always has to throw the ball 40 times, 50 times a game. And when that happens, he doesn't win because it becomes very predictable. And when you become predictable against the Denver Broncos defense, they're going to make you pay. I'm taking the Broncos +2. And you have to imagine the Broncos are just going to be more focused this week after that lackluster performance last week.
Yeah, I don't want to call this a must-win for the Broncos, but this is a pretty important game for them. You look at the schedule coming up. They got the Chiefs and the Eagles on the road, back-to-back games, and then they welcome New England in there. So that's 3 straight games against legitimate Super Bowl contenders. So they got to get this one against the Chargers. I think they do. I think the spread maybe indicates, like you said, a little bit of an overreaction from last week. The Chargers coming off that win, and the Broncos obviously a letdown. I don't want to call it a trap game because I'm not really sure you look ahead to the Chargers, but it certainly was something going on there. They were snoozing at the wheel on Sunday night. But really, it comes down to what Denver's going to do is they got to they got to alter the game plan a little bit. I don't know, abandoning the run last week. You look at C.J. Anderson, Jamal Charles, 14 carries for 36 yards against the Giants. I mean, obviously game flow dictates that a little bit, but you can't have Trevor Siemian, especially banged up, slinging the ball around 50 times. I mean, that's way too much bacon slinging on his part, so I expect them to come with a heavy dose of the run. And as you mentioned, Chargers susceptible to giving up yards on the ground. So I'm with you. I like the Broncos in that game. And Rivers, like you said, if he gets predictable, he starts, he gets a little loose with the ball. What do you got going on over here?
I don't know. My microphone
Dig
fell.
it into your.
That's what happens when you don't do a mic check.
That's better.
We can't hear you, Mark. But.
Jesus. Last week you're all over the place. They're already all over the place this week.
If we did a mic check, then we would have been fine. But
anyways, I like the Broncos. You like the Broncos. Who does Mike like?
Mike also likes the Broncos. He didn't tell us why, but he is a big fan of the Denver Broncos football team.
Well,
as I try to
all right. Well,
rectify the situation
as long as you
here.
Get that,
it's a clean sweep. We all like the Broncos in this one. God,
I'm just gonna watch you struggle.
You know what? I'm gonna clip it here on this shirt here.
All right. Well, we'll move right along here. I will say though, one thing about the Broncos is what they have to do in this game is just to kind of add on while you
I'm listening.
Get your crap in order. Notice this on Sunday night. 3rd down and in the red zone. The Chargers' last 3 games have been pretty bad in both areas. I mean, they're like 16 for 47 over the last 3 games on 3rd down, 2 for 11 over the last 3 games in the red zone. Those things got to change. I think they can do that against the Chargers, who are 27th in the NFL in opponent 3rd down conversion percentage. So
that's impressive.
Digging deep here, but I don't know. It backs my philosophy here that Broncos are going to take this thing, get back on track. So that's Sunday afternoon. That's a 4:25 start.
It is.
We're gonna go. That's the earliest game that we have top 3 of the week. We're gonna move along now to Sunday night. Falcons at the Patriots in a rematch
of the Super Bowl 51. Oh, what a game that was!
Falcons, for as much has been made of the Patriots' issues this season, which obviously defensively they've got some flaws. Falcons coming off back-to-back losses to the Buffalo Bills and the New York Jets, blowing leads in those games.
Yeah, well,
very Super Bowl-esque.
Yeah.
I don't know. Is it time to panic with these Falcons? Who do you like going into this one?
They're that good. I said this at the start of the season. I didn't think they were going to win that division. I had them making the playoffs just because they got an explosive offense, and it's the NFC, and the Cowboys are having a down year, and this and that. And more I look at this team, more I'm convinced they might not even make the playoffs, and I'm taking the Patriots in this game. Matt Ryan, his career in the 4th quarter. People always talked about Tony Romo not being clutch in the 4th when the guy was like top 3 in terms of passer rating in the 4th quarter of all time. Look at Matt Ryan. 59 touchdowns, 44 picks with an 84.7 quarterback rating in 4th quarters and a 63% completion percentage. Doesn't seem like decent stats, but that's the most picks from any quarter. If you look at Matt Ryan's 1st, 2nd, 3rd, 4th, most picks, 4th quarter. Lowest completion percentage, 4th quarter. Most interceptions, 4th quarter. Matt Ryan does not shine in the 4th quarter. We saw that in the Super Bowl last year. And these numbers don't even include the Super Bowl. This is just regular season stats. But here's why the Patriots will win this game. Tom Brady doesn't turn the ball over, and the Falcons don't force turnovers. The Falcons will be able to move the ball at will, but if Tom Brady doesn't make any mistakes, and I don't think he will, the Falcons will have to work down the field, the whole field, rather than getting like a 50-yard line start because of a turnover. And if the Patriots can limit the Falcons to field goals instead of touchdowns, which I think they can do, I think they'll be able to win and cover this game. They're going to be fired up. It's Sunday Night Football. They're going to be focused. Yeah.
You mentioned the Falcons' explosive offense. Where the hell has Julio Jones been this year?
Steve Sarkisian is the new coordinator.
I think that was one of the more underrated changes or storylines of the offseason. Was the fact that Kyle Shanahan left as offensive coordinator. But I like the Falcons in this matchup.
Yeah, I'm interested to hear why.
And a lot of it stems from, I think maybe this is a game. If you're going to get right as an offense, throwing the ball and start targeting Julio Jones more, this is a game to do it.
Yeah.
I mean, against this defense, Patriots first team in NFL history to allow 6 straight opposing QBs to throw for 300 or more yards, and that includes Josh McCown last week, who they just made look like Brett Favre slinging the ball all over the place. And when it comes down to the other weapons, I think they're susceptible to get beat by out of the backfield. Patriots notoriously bad against running backs, catching the ball out of the backfield. Falcons have two pretty good ones in Devontae Freeman and Tevin Coleman. I also think it's a game where you see a little Austin Hooper action. I think Austin Hooper is going to be able to, get some room over the middle of the field, maybe beat that defense a little bit. And on the flip side, the Falcons' defense is pretty iffy, but the team's speed is there, and I think that's where they match up well against the Patriots. Like Deion Jones, we talked about him a few weeks ago. One of the more underrated defensive players in the game. Good coverage linebackers. I think that mitigates Gronk's impact a little bit.
That's what I was going to get to. I don't know.
I mean, I don't want to say you're going to eliminate Gronk from the game, take him out of the game completely, but I think they have the horses and the speed to maybe slow him down a little bit, make Brady look elsewhere. And then we saw last year in the Super Bowl, they tormented Brady. I mean, Grady Jarrett, 3 sacks. They got after Brady. So
their line isn't that good this year.
Yeah, the line is terrible this year. So I don't know. I just think a lot of things are working in Atlanta's favor despite their recent issues. And so going on the road, I generally think it's foolish to pick against the Patriots at home, especially in prime time. But I feel like that aura is wearing a little thin. I think this is a chance for the Falcons go in there and steal one.
The Patriots have a bad defense, right?
I think we can agree on that.
They've made seven turnovers in the last 4 games. At least they're starting to do what the Raiders were doing last year, allowing a ton of yards, but making up for it with forcing turnovers. And Matt Ryan, 6 picks, 6 touchdowns this year. I think we're going to see the Patriots force some turnovers. Brady's not going to. Turnover differential is going to be huge in this game. Patriots will dominate the turnover differential and cover the spread.
It's amazing how unreliable the Patriots have been against the spread this season as opposed to last year.
Well, it all balances out 50-50.
Right. I feel like last year though they were like a lock to not only win but cover.
Yeah, so look at the quarterbacks they faced.
All right, so we'll move on. We'll flip over
Sunday nights to Monday nights.
We will turn the page. We will go to Monday night.
By the way, before we continue, quick, great Thursday night game this week with the Raiders and the Chiefs.
Yep.
Fantastic game. Great Sunday night game this week with Falcons Patriots. And great Monday night game this week with the Redskins Eagles. Great prime. This might be the best prime time
really
week of
good.
football
And this
in a
is
very
coming
long
off
time.
a week 6 that had an awesome matchup on Thursday night with the Eagles, and this game on Monday night against the Panthers. This Monday they're playing the Washington Redskins, hosting the Redskins, 4.5-point favorites. The Eagles. There's a lot of hype surrounding this team now.
Yes.
They kind of snuck up on everyone, but over the first 6 weeks of the season, now when you look across, you see the struggles that the Falcons are having. You look at the Packers losing Aaron Rodgers potentially for the entire season. The Eagles might be the best team in the NFC.
Yeah.
And now they're welcoming another team, another divisional opponent who wants to
like.
make a name for itself. I know you like a lot. In the Redskins, what do you make of this? Eagles coming off 4 straight wins, win over the Panthers. Redskins, I should mention, coming off close win over the 49ers.
Yes, the theme of this week for me is when the public leans one way, run away.
Yep.
Get away as fast as you can. Run. Get in your car and drive away.
Okay.
Go to the other side. Be a contrarian. I'm going to do that.
Fly away.
Redskins plus 4.5. I love everyone saying the Eagles are the best team in the NFL. Yeah, they're a good team. Are they the best team in the NFL? I don't know. Maybe they could be, but I want to see more pelts on the wall. I like the Washington Redskins. I think they're secretly could be the best team in the NFC. I think they're a little overlooked. People are overlooking the Redskins because of the Phillies' success. Look, Carson Wentz is going to be at home. He thrives there. Lane Johnson's in the lineup. All of that, I get it. But Kirk Cousins putting up a great season. No one's talking about him. 9 touchdowns, 2 picks. The guy just always gets it done. No one ever talks about him. And he's getting good protection. Only 4 sacks in the last 4 games. It's a divisional game in primetime, so you know it's going to be close. And then week 1, these two teams played. It was 22-17. Very controversial fumble. Kirk Cousins in his own from his own 20. His arm was going forward. They called it a fumble. The Eagles recovered. They ran it back. The score became 30-17 the last minute. The Redskins were driving to try to take the lead or make the game closer. So that 30-17 score is not as indicative as how close of that game actually was. So I'm going to take the Redskins with a 4.5-point spread. Give me that.
Yeah, I admittedly I flip-flopped a little bit on this one, but ultimately I landed on the Eagles.
I don't think this spread would have been 4.5 points if the Eagles weren't so overly hyped right now.
Probably. You're probably right. And I think also, obviously, the home field advantage plays into that a lot as well. But I like the Eagles. I do think they are the best team in the NFC right now, and that's kind of by default because, as I mentioned, some of the other teams just haven't really looked as haven't proven themselves, looked as good as a lot of people thought they were going to be. The Seahawks, another team I didn't really mention in there, I think maybe the best is yet to come for them, but whatever.
Sea chickens.
As it relates to this game, I don't know. I'm going with that Eagles defense. I like their front seven. I like what they've done against the run this year. And then obviously, you talk about Kirk Cousins. There's something about that Redskins offense though that I don't know. It just feels a little inconsistent to me.
Well,
when it's going good, it's going good. But it's a little concerning to me that he hasn't been on the same page with Terrell Pryor. Was kind of one of their big signings to bring in and offset the loss of Deshaun Jackson and Pierre Garçon. Jamison Crowder hasn't been as productive as he was last season,
right.
So it'll leave it a little bit a lot to be desired offensively.
What does that say about Kirk Cousins when he's not really working with anyone, but he's thriving?
Well, I think a lot their offense too is thrived a lot because of what their backs are doing, catching the ball out of the backfield. I mean, Chris Thompson has kind of been he's like the Tyreek Hill almost of this year of like just coming out of nowhere and coming up with these big plays.
Yeah, 340 yards.
Yes, he's been a stud. Robert Kelly's banged up. Not sure if he's going to play. I like the Eagles getting back Lane Johnson this week. I know everybody. I've never seen any more freakouts over the loss of an offensive line. Like, obviously, it's a big deal when you lose your best offensive lineman, but the fact that it was like a national storyline going into last Thursday's game. But Lane Johnson back. You look at Carson Wentz's numbers, so much better with him protecting him. Wendell Smallwood, the best pass catching back, will be back this week as well. It seems like so. Getting the Eagles not only playing well, getting healthy, which bodes well for them, and at home on Monday night.
Divisional showdown. I don't know. It can go both ways.
I like them to flex their muscle.
I also like that Redskins pass rush too. They got some good names on there.
I don't know. The Redskins
Preston Smith. You don't like Preston Smith? Ryan Kerrigan.
Way too Jekyll and Hyde for me. That's why ultimately I can't picture the Redskins being. I can't take them serious as a contender.
I can't picture the Eagles being 6-1. That's another thing.
I could.
I can't. 6-1, the elite team, and I just can't do it. I think people are overreacting again. Everyone overreacts. And once we get to our lock and upsets, I'm going to mention another overreactionary team.
Well, let's do that now then.
Okay. Well, you go on to start with our lock.
We'll start with the locks. Who'd Mike pick, by the way?
Mike. Sorry, Mike. He picked the Eagles as well, so he sided with you.
Yeah,
Mike also agreed.
Good man.
Mike also picked the Patriots too. So in the last game, so you can see all of Mike's
Patriots,
picks
Eagles.
on the Nesson.com picks column, which will be tomorrow morning, right?
Will
Thursday
be,
morning.
So check
Thursday
back.
morning. Check that out.
Please do.
So
now we will move on to locks and upsets, which hopefully will be a little smoother this week than it was last week when that just turned into.
As we mentioned at the start of the show, Mike did not submit a lock and upset.
Okay, that's fine.
We'll
yell at him when he gets back
at his honeymoon. So.
Yep. All right. Do you want to? We'll start with the lock.
Sure.
Is that agreeable? Let's go with the lock. You go ahead.
Okay, I'll go ahead. I guess I'm gonna go with the Minnesota Vikings 5.5-point favorites against the Baltimore Ravens. The biggest beneficiary of that horrendous Aaron Rodgers injury are the Vikings. Let me tell you. People always talk. Obviously, it hurts the Packers. The Vikings, that division is theirs, and I think they will easily win it. And here's why. They're going to beat the Ravens this week, too. They have the third best yards per play differential in the NFL thanks to that stingy defense. And let me tell you, the Vikings, despite their quarterback situation with Sam Bradford and Case Keenum, only one interception all year. They don't turn the ball over. And the Ravens only thrive defensively when they force turnovers, which is, I don't see that happening this week at Minnesota. Vikings are a good home team. Jerick McKinnon has been fine in terms of replacing Dalvin Cook.
Been pretty good.
And Joe Flacco, twice as many picks as touchdowns this year. I don't see that as a recipe for success against that Vikings secondary and pass rush. So, Vikings.
All right. I'm going to take the Titans over the Browns, 5.5-point favorites. This is really just an instance of picking on the Browns.
Yeah,
last week, I was pretty high on the Browns to start the season. I didn't think that they were going to make the playoffs or anything, but I really thought they'd be a pain in the ass to play against. That hasn't been the case. That defense stinks. Their offense literally gives you the football. They have 16 turnovers, -9 turnover differential, both worst in the NFL. 1-21 this team under Hugh Jackson. At some point, you just got to take a look in the mirror and say, what are we doing here? Sliced and diced by Deshaun Watson last week, which he seems to be doing everybody these days, but I don't know. I just have a hard time putting any stock whatsoever into the Browns. You're going to give me less than a touchdown against the Titans, who, Marcus Mariota
seems like he's healthy.
But he played well. I mean, he was, limited somewhat in his mobility on Monday night against the Colts, but he still found a way. You know what I mean? hung in the pocket a little bit more, showed off his arm strength a little bit more. Browns going with Kevin Hogan at quarterback last week. It's like, cut it out.
They need to bring in Cody Kessler. Once they bring in
out.
Cody Kessler, I think their fortunes will change. I've been saying that since last year. He actually played pretty well last year. At least he had a completion percentage over 65%. That's not what Kaiser and Hogan are doing. Yeah. So they're not doing that.
At this
I know
point,
you're secretly disagreeing with me and don't want to get into this argument with me about Cody Kessler. But
no, I don't, because we've talked about Cody Kessler way too much on this program over the past year and a half. And frankly, I would be okay if we never brought his name up ever again. Him and Cooper Rush. So, anyways, I like the Titans over the Browns. Mike didn't give a lock.
He did not give a lock.
That's all right. We'll hold
Browns,
against them.
Highest passer rating allowed.
Yeah.
Second highest completion percentage allowed. Marcus Mariota will.
In other words, they're giving up good quarterback play and providing terrible quarterback play,
which is not a good recipe.
Putrid. I'd even go so far as to say putrid quarterback play. Now, upset
of the week.
You want me to start?
Go ahead.
I will start by taking. I'm going against your Dallas Cowboys.
Go ahead, take them.
The San Francisco 49ers, 6-point underdogs. The Niners. This is a team that I think I'm just gonna keep rolling with them, because no matter what, they seem to keep it close. Yeah. At least within reason here. Last 5, 0-6, but unlike the Browns, they keep things close. Both teams stink. Both teams going to lose
both
the other day, but they keep things close. 49ers, 5 consecutive losses by 3 points or fewer.
That's unbelievable.
In those 5 losses, they've lost by a combined 13 points. So talk about just ripping your heart out, stomping all over it. A lot of heartbreakers here for the San Francisco 49ers. I think they're going to win outright. Yeah. CJ Beathard, I'm not saying he's going to light the world on fire, but he gave him a little bit of a kick in the pants when he came in last week at quarterback, replacing Brian Hoyer. Provided a spark, nearly orchestrated a comeback. It sounds like Zeke Elliott's going to play.
But continue.
But the Niners have a pretty good run defense.
Yeah.
And it's interesting when you look at them, too, because I think they're 5th in terms of yards allowed per carry. But it's significant. If you just look at yards per game, that's why yards per game is kind of a crappy stat when it comes to that. They're like middle of the pack. They're like 19th or something. But yards per carry, they're 5th. So we talked about Kyle Shanahan with the Falcons and how they kind of miss him pulling the strings over there. I think he's gonna get over. He's got to get over the hump at some point. Why not this week at home? Hosting the Cowboys, who are just neither one of us are really high on.
And people always talk the Ezekiel Elliott thing. Like before Wednesday's news that he was going to suit up on Sunday, the Cowboys were a 6-point favorite. After the news that he was going to play, the Cowboys were a 6-point favorite. Yeah. Las Vegas does not think Ezekiel Elliott is even worth half a point for the Cowboys. He's not even worth half a point. That's how useless running backs are in the NFL.
I can't wait till next week you contradict that statement, but
no, I never contradicted anything. I told you I'm on fire this week. I'm gonna be. I'm very excited about this. This Phillip Rivers stat I dug up earlier in the show: 12 and 34 when he throws the ball 40 times. I was pumped about it. That's a great stat.
Understandably so. So who you like for an upset? What's
my upset? I'm gonna stick to my theme of overreaction this week. People overreacting to the Aaron Rodgers injury. Look, long term, it's going to affect the Packers. But I'm taking the Packers over the Saints this week. 5.5-point dogs at home against the Saints? Come on. Brett Hundley's going to be able to throw the ball against that Saints defense. Everyone's high on the Saints because they've won 3 games in a row. I like the Saints. I still think they're going to win the NFC South. I love the Saints. But the Packers, I think this week, they're going to come out very focused. They're all going to be fighting for Aaron Rodgers at home in front of that crowd against a crappy defense. I don't have any stats to back this up because this is Brett Hundley. We don't have any numbers to really.
Because you spent all your time in the Chargers game.
No. I have stats, but the stats are against the Packers. It's like, he threw 3 picks against the Vikings. Yeah. But he's not playing the Vikings defense.
Todd Hundley, good catcher.
Yeah, he was a very good
40 homer
Rockies?
Guy. Yeah, he's the Mets.
Mets, that's right. The 2000 World Series, I believe. Anyway, the Saints, they give up. Look, we learned 2 things last week. Falcons-Dolphins game and Broncos-Giants game. Everyone overreacted. Don't overreact. Let the idiots overreact. I'm taking the Packers. They're going to win this game. And that 5.5-point spread, sure, they're going to cover that. They're at home. They're at home. They got good pieces on defense. They can make some. I wish Mike Cole was here to keep backing it up.
All right.
But here we are. It's time to cue the mariachi music.
I am, because to go off that little tirade, I am going to overreact a little bit.
Okay.
Because my show and tell for this week is It's a dry cleaner's bag. So I went and did some dry cleaning last week, and they gave me this bag. They're like, here's our VIP bag that you can bring in, and like, I don't even know how it works. I get dry cleaning done like 3 times a year tops. It's like whenever I wear a suit.
Yeah.
But anyways, VIP as in very important person. And I'm saying that Aaron Rodgers, the aforementioned, is a very important person. I don't know if you've noticed that. And a very important person.
He might be the MIP, most important person.
I will go so far as to say that he is probably the most irreplaceable player in the NFL.
Well, Andrew Luck.
Yeah, but that team is going to suck regardless. The Packers go from a legitimate, maybe the best team in the NFC, legitimate Super Bowl contenders, to now a team that you got to have some concerns about their playoff hopes.
I agree.
This is my thing. And it's such a, I almost hate saying it because like everybody's just writing off the Packers. It's kind of just like the popular opinion this week.
Yeah.
But I don't know how you can look at it and think otherwise.
Well, you said the same thing about the Giants last week. They come out and win by 13 on the road.
True, but I don't know. But yeah, but that's one game.
This is just one game too.
You're
talking
about from a
I was
season-long.
talking about one game.
I'm talking from a season-long standpoint, just across the board, how decimated this team is, even elsewhere with injuries.
Yeah.
I mean, so you already needed to rely so much on Rodgers to compensate for those other areas, whether it be underperformance or injuries, and now you take him away. It's just like, what do you really hang your hat on? What's the one strength of this team? I don't know the answer to that question. What is the one big strength? Good special teams? Yeah, good punting? I don't know. So I look across that division. You're right. The biggest beneficiary is the Vikings. It's too bad if the Lions could get their crap together, pull their heads out of their butts. I think they'd be onto something, but they've been in typical Lions mode here over the past few weeks. Their flaws starting to crop up. Their pain points.
Yeah,
but
I agree.
I think the Packers in some trouble now without the VIP.
Yeah, I thought it was a body bag at first. I was like,
I don't know. Well, how am I supposed to fit a suit in this, by the way?
I don't know.
All
right, here's my object. Look, you can get a nice. This is a mirror, as you can see. See yourself in the mirror. Like sometimes, Ricky, you wake up in the morning and you think you look good. You know, it's like you wake up, you're like, oh, I look fantastic. All right, and then you go and then you look in the mirror and you're like, yeah, I got a cowlick. I don't look very good at all. You know, it happens every day for me. And you know who that's happening to right now? Who's that? The Miami Dolphins and their fans. Right now they stand at 3-2, and I don't know how this team is 3-2. They have, it's a miracle how they're 3-2. Listen to this, Ricky. They're dead last in terms of yards per play differential. Worst team in terms of yards per play differential. They have forced the second fewest turnovers. Defensively, they've only made 1 interception. They have the league's worst offense, and they've allowed the highest completion percentage to opposing quarterbacks. Highest, 72%, highest. Can you believe that? Yet they're 3-2. This is an 0-5 team in my book, and this team's going to continue to struggle. They're playing the Jets this week, and they're favored at home to the Jets. The Jets, a team that took the New England Patriots to the limit, a team that should have been tied with them heading to overtime. Listen, Miami, you're a bad team, and you're going to find out just how bad you are when you get beat up by the Jets.
You don't think Miami?
They're garbage! Jay Cutler had 92 yards in the game, and he won.
I'll tell you what, though. I do think they were a little better than their first few weeks would seem to suggest.
They're the worst team in football.
I think they have better personnel than they showed over the first few weeks.
4 yards per play.
Listen,
Jay Cutler.
You're too obsessed with results.
Well, when you have enough sample size, you could start at least factoring the results there. When I said you're too obsessed with results, it was week 2. You know, we don't have a sample size there.
Whatever. No, you're right. They stink. They stink. The Jets stink.
This mirror, I wonder what this mirror was doing.
That's going to be a garbage game. But anyways, all right. Well, that does it for this week, week 7 edition of The Spread. We're getting there. We're going to be at mid-season real soon. This is crazy.
We are unbelievable.
Wild stuff.
We're going to start having to make New Year's resolutions.
Oh, boy. Yeah, well, next week will be the Halloween episode.
Is it next week? No. What day?
Oh, no, the week after.
Today is October.
I think.
No, next week is the Halloween episode.
Yeah, it's going to get real spooky in here.
Yeah, it's gonna be great.
All right. Anyways, let's get the hell out of here. We'll see you next week for the aforementioned Halloween episode.
Mike Cole will be back.
Mike will be back just in time. We'll see what kind of costume he whips up.
Probably won't.
Something better he goes to.
He's a married man now. He'll
Probably come in and just yell at us the entire time. Yeah. But whatever, we're used to it.
So Jonathan Ortiz will be happy that me and Mike will be yelling at each other again.
Absolutely. Thanks for tuning in. We'll see you next week on The Spread.